The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
Tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to listen to Jesus. But the Pharisees and scribes began to complain, saying, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." So to them Jesus addressed this parable. A man had 2 sons, and the younger son said to his father, "Father, give me the share of your estate that should come to me." So the father divided the property between them. After a few days, the younger son collected all his belongings and set off to a distant country, where he squandered his inheritance on a life of dissipation. When he had freely spent everything, a severe famine struck that country, and he found himself in dire need. So he hired himself out to one of the local citizens, who sent him to his farm to tend to the swine. And he longed to eat his fill of the pods on which the swine fed, but nobody gave him any. Coming to his senses, he thought, "How many of my father's hired workers have more than enough food to eat? But here am I, dying from hunger. I shall get up and go to my father, and I shall say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son. Treat me as you would treat one of your hired workers.' So he got up and went back to his father. While he was still a long way off, his father caught sight of him and was filled with compassion. He ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. His son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son.' But his father ordered his servants, 'Quickly, bring the finest robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Take the fattened calf and slaughter it. Then let us celebrate with a feast, because the son of mine was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and has been found.' Then the celebration began. Now the older son had been out in the field, and on his way back, as he neared the house, he heard the sound of music and dancing. He called one of the servants and asked what this might mean. The servant said to him, 'Your brother has returned, and your father has slaughtered the fattened calf, because he has him back safe and sound.' He became angry, and when he refused to enter the house, his father came out and pleaded with him. He said to his father in reply, 'Look, all these years I served you, and not once did I disobey your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat to feast on with my friends. But when your son returns, who swallowed up your property with prostitutes, for him you slaughter the fattened calf.' He said to him, 'My son, you are here with me always. Everything I have is yours. But now we must celebrate and rejoice, because your brother was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and has been found.'" The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Good morning. Welcome to our live streamers this morning. This parable of the prodigal son, at least from one perspective, is a story about coming clean with ourselves, facing up to ourselves, and learning to take responsibility for our life. Growing up is never easy. And whether we're 2, 13, 30, or 80, we're always in the process of growing up. Growing up means leaving home, spending time in the pig pens of the distant country, and then returning home more grown up, more mature. Think about all the leaving or separation that must happen for growth to occur. A baby separates from mother and leaves the womb. The terrible twos and the crazy adolescent years are both about the child leaving, separating from parents in order to mature psychologically and emotionally. And when we graduate, begin work, marry, join the military, take a new job, or retire, some type of leaving or separation is happening. Sometimes we leave by choice, and other times we leave through the circumstances of our life, the actions of another, or the consequences of our words or actions. Sometimes leaving home means leaving a physical place, but not every home is physical, and not every leaving is geographical. The death of a loved one, a severe illness or disability, a divorce, can take us away from home. Other times, we leave the values and traditions of our family, or old ways of doing things that have become so comfortable and familiar, they've become our stuck places. Or we leave a particular worldview or religious beliefs, and sometimes the church. We leave home in 1,000 different ways. Leaving home takes us to a distant country. The distant country is that in-between place. What was is no longer, and what will be is not yet. It's the place where the prodigal son spent everything. He's run out of resources. More than just running out of money, he's bumped up against his own limitations. He knows what it feels like to be powerless, to not have it all together, and to experience vulnerability. He's living amidst a severe famine. At one level, he needs something to fill his belly. But at another level, what he really needs is something to fill his soul. There's an emptiness within him. And maybe for the first time in his life, he found himself in dire need. He began to recognize his need for something deeper, larger, and more authentic. He began to recognize his need for meaning, hope, wisdom, courage. The distant country is where we have to do our interior work, and it's usually messy and stinky. But no one else can do it for us. We've got to do our own pigpen work, and there aren't any shortcuts. The distant country always asks a task of us. It's about recognizing our limitations and powerlessness, feeling the hunger of our soul, and discovering what we really need. And it's also about acknowledging and dealing with the stinky mess in our life. That's when the prodigal son came to his senses. That's the point when his life shifts and he starts getting things turned around. That distant country is the place where, if we do our work, transformation can occur. And transformation is always about growing up. In the distant country, the prodigal son comes to his senses and said, I shall get up and go to my Father. This is about more than his physical father. The journey home is about reclaiming the divine in his life, seeking connection, meaning, and transcendence, and being part of something larger than and beyond himself. It's the continuation of his coming to his senses, and it's a sign of growth. The Father responds with compassion, a hug, a kiss, feasting and celebrating. With each of these, the Father reveals and calls forth something. They reveal the Father's acceptance of his Son and call forth the Son's acceptance of himself. They reveal the Father's love of his Son and call forth the Son's love of himself. They reveal the Father's forgiveness of his Son and call forth the Son's forgiveness of himself. Growing up means leaving home, spending time in the pig pens of the distant country, and then returning home more grown up, more mature. In the process of growing up, we arrive back where we started and know the place and ourselves for the first time. Growing up is never easy. And whether we're 2, 13, 30, or 80, we're always in the process of growing up. May our Lenten practices help us come to our senses and bring us back from the distant country and into the loving arms of our Father.